Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing my June monthly reading wrap up. So yeah, let's get into it. Like I say in every video, there are a few books that I've read that I don't have because they're at my sister's, but let's get to it anyway. I think if you check out my May reading wrap up, I'll have told you that I was in the process of reading Enchantra, and can I just say that is a top tier book. So I finished Enchantra on the 1st of June, so June started out on a great note. I realised I've got a little ahead of myself, and I'll just do a quick summary of how many books I read. So in total I read 8 books, but that consisted of 6 fully complete reads, so 6 books I read in total, 1 DNF, we'll get on to that, we'll get on to the reason why I DNF'd, and then 1 currently reading. So I said Enchantra was the first book of June. We started off on a high. Enchantra is book 2 in the Phantasma series, so Phantasma book 1 follows one sister, Ophelia, and then Enchantra follows Genevieve, and I actually think that Enchantra is the better out of the 2 books, so I think I did rate them both 5 stars, but Enchantra got 5, but Enchantra got a higher 5 than what I would have given Phantasma. So Enchantra was everything I wanted out of a book, gothic-y, like that slow burn, kind of enemy to lovers, forced proximity. It was just really good. If you don't know, Enchantra follows Genevieve as she goes into this kind of haunted house, and then she has to participate in this trial / game, and then the winner basically survives and the other participants of the game get sent to hell for a year. But because she's mortal and some of the other contestants aren't mortal, she would actually die in being sent to hell, whereas they'll just come back the next year to play the game again. So it was really cool. Like, so it had a gothic house, the trial trope, which I love, slow burn, enemy to lovers, forced proximity, and then our main male character, Rowin, he's in my top, I know I say this about all book boyfriends, but he's in like my top book boyfriends now. So he was tall, dark and handsome. Not only did he have tattoos, he also had a nose ring. I'm just all about that at the moment. You'll know if you've watched any of my other videos that I was infatuated with Dusty and Wild and Wrangled because he had a nose ring, and yeah, I'm just so into it at the moment. So I would definitely give Enchantra a read if you haven't. Granted, we're in summer, that gothic-y vibe isn't what you want out of your summer read, so if you don't want to read it now, I 100% recommend reading it in autumn because I really think it's that cozy, spooky vibe. So yeah, June started off great with Enchantra. And the next book I read was The Night and the Moth, so I was really excited to read this book. It's by the same author as One Dark Window, and last year I made One Dark Window my whole personality during like October because I read the 2 books in the October, and I just love that series. So I was nervous and excited to read The Night and the Moth because I do feel like when you read a book by the same author, it can either be really good or like it falls a bit short because you know that you love their other book more. So I did read Night and the Moth. I gave it 3.5 stars. Hear me out, I would say that's quite a good recommendation. If I give anything a 3, that's me saying read it. I liked the concept of it, I just, for the whole read, I didn't feel connected to the book or the characters at all. So essentially the main girl is like a prophetess and she can like tell people's futures. She lives in this like covenant place with 7 other or 6 others who kind of have the same prophetess job title, and then a knight comes along and he like blasphemizes their whole goddess, god, the people they worship, and then her other counterparts start to go missing, and it kind of follows her, Sybil. It follows Sybil and Rory as they kind of go to find the other priestesses. And also they follow Rory and his king as he goes around their kingdom garnering favour from each different little population. So it does sound good and I really wanted to like it. It was like enemy to lovers, slow burn. There's a character called the Gargoyle who I actually kind of find a little bit annoying, but I do imagine him as one of the like gargoyle creatures from the Hunchback of Notre Dame that speaks to Quasimodo. That is kind of how I imagine him, so really cute, really like, you know, just a little bit annoying, but is the kind of character that brings a bit of banter to the book. That was kind of the premise of the book. I really liked it. It was giving like Arthurian legend vibes. I liked the writing style. It was really beautiful. It was really poetic. It just had some really nice moments throughout the book. It was pretty well paced. I thought it might be standalone with the way the pace was going, but then we kind of got to the end and then it's not a standalone, there is another one. but I don't know, it just felt a little bit predictable. Like the book, I wish I could have given it a 5 stars. The plot, I do think it was quite original. There was a part at the end that I think was predictable, that I think most people would see coming, but then there was one plot twist which I absolutely loved and didn't see coming at all, and I thought it was a really nice touch to the book. But maybe it was me at the time, maybe I was going through something, but I just felt so disconnected from the book. I didn't feel connected to the characters. I didn't squeal when they, like, the main characters brushed hands or there was eye contact. Like 3.5 because I really see why the people would like it, and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like salivating for the next page or like staying up late to carry on reading it. But it was good. We'll definitely be reading the next book. I'm intrigued to see where it will go. Maybe I'll be more in the mood for that kind of thing when the next book comes out, and I might connect with it a little bit differently. But yeah, Night in the Moth, I would still recommend. Have you read it? If you have, let me know what your thoughts were in the comments. But yeah, 3.5 would recommend, but not my favourite read of the month. And the next book that I read after The Night in the Moth was Released in 10. I gave this book a 3, but I'm not really sure that's the rating I'm going to stick with. It's more that I gave it a 3-ish, and I'll get on to why. But I did do a little short on YouTube, and I think I put it on TikTok as well, of why I found this book so hard to rate. So this is book 6 in the Boys of Tommen series and follows Hugh and Lizzie. For those of you who don't know, The Boys of Tommen starts with Binding 13, and I am a die-hard Joey Lynch fan, so the middle 2 books, so the 6 books, Saving and Redeeming 6, will be my favourite. Those just live somewhere special in my heart. But this follows Lizzie and Hugh. A little bit of controversy around this book. Essentially, there are trigger warnings at the start of this book that perhaps do not do justice to the on-page incidents that get described. So possible spoiler, but it's in the trigger warnings. There are issues around child abuse in this book that's like centered around like Lizzie's storyline, and I think, in my opinion, the trigger warnings aren't enough for how graphic it goes into it. It was a pretty hard read. The first half of this book I would give a 2, and that is being generous. Like, there were some, I'm not going to describe what the scenes are, because if you want to read it, read it. If you want to read around to see what they are, go for it. But I just thought that you can, fair enough if she wants that to be a part of the story. I've watched Chloe Walsh's apology video, and she wanted it, it's from her own experience, and she wanted to like give voice to, you know, people who go through these issues. And I'm not saying she hasn't, I'm just saying I think it's actually insane how some things get published these days. At what point do we draw a line? Like, it was so graphic. Yeah, it was just basically, it was just really graphic, and I just feel like she did a really good job of it in Taming 7 with Gibbsy. She wrote it off page, and I think that off page makes it easier to read. I understand some, you know, survivors of abuse might find it quite cathartic to read, or it might be triggering for them. I just feel like it was quite graphic and quite uncomfortable to read. I read past it, so I did finish the book. I liked the second half, but I did have to stop reading it at one point and go for a walk because yeah, it was putting me in a weird mood. The first half of the book I would say 2-star max. The second half maybe 3.5. The second half was good, but this book is pretty long. I think it's like 750 pages, and for a romance book I just feel like it's too long and nothing of substance happens. So I know all of her books are really big, and I question whether they all should be that big. Even the Joey ones, like I think the last book's like, the second Joey book is like 900 pages long. Do we really need a 900 page romance? I question whether we do. So yeah, it's long. I like the relationship between Liz and Hughie towards the end. It did feel a bit dragged out because, you know, you kind of, it's kind of like insta love. Like, they start like, it's from like their childhood all the way up to kind of those like adolescent years, whereas like sometimes I like a little bit of tension in between. But the next book I think coming out is Claiming 10 in August. I will be reading it. I feel like that'll be quite a good one to read because it almost, I think if I'm understanding it correctly, the timeline for that will almost start back at when Binding 13 starts. In the front of this book she said like she released the first 4 books in like pairs because it centered around the Lynch family, but now I think it will go in chronological order. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So I'm quite excited now because I feel like the pacing and the plot will move forward rather than keep going back to their childhood lives. So I'm quite excited. I've seen a lot of things around people calling Hughie boring, and I do kind of see what you mean, but at the same time, like, why have we as a community, and probably just as like even in reality too, why are nice men categorised as boring? Like, people are calling Hughie boring because he's like a stand-up guy, he's reliable, he's there for Lizzie when she needs him. Like, he's a bit of a nerd, and I like a nerd. He's really clever, but he also still plays rugby, he swims. Just because he's got no baggage, that makes him boring, and I think that's so wrong, and I'm guilty of doing it myself. I love a dark-haired, morally grey man, but I can also appreciate when a guy like Hugh comes along and he's the kind of boy you want to bring home to your parents, do you know what I mean? So justice for Hughie, because he deserves a bit more love rather than just being called boring. Like, I'm all about a fiery romance and that, but sometimes you just want a romance that makes you feel safe, and Hughie is that, and he deserves more from the community. So yeah, I gave this about a 3. It's a bit vague, it's up in the air. After releasing 10, I was kind of like, what do I read now? It left me kind of staring at the wall a little bit. So I went on to the Coven. I found this book in Asda. I went to Asda for, I think it was sweets. And did I come out with the sweets? No, I didn't, because I didn't have the ones I wanted. Do you know, in a pick and mix, the blue and pink like bottles, they are the best sweets ever. They're so yummy. Asda and Tesco have changed where they must get them from, like the supplier, and now they're not the same. So long story short, I walked out with 2 books and no sweets. But see, I picked this up in Asda. I thought, you know, I don't really like the sprayed edge, don't think the colours go, but it just sounded a bit different, so I was like, oh, that sounds quite good. The premise of this, I thought it sounded a bit dark academia-y, is Willow is a witch and she has to go to like a school to like kind of get revenge for her family of witches. Her family have been done wrong by the main coven of witches. Now, if you know me, I don't think I've ever really said this on YouTube, but I have said it on some of my social channels. I'm not really into witch fantasy books. I love Charmed as a TV programme. Charmed is part of my personality at this point, but reading about witches just doesn't really do it for me, so I was a bit on the fence anyway. But long story short, this book got 2.75 stars. So The Coven, out of all the books I completed, was my least favourite read of the month. The issue I had with this book was that it had so much potential. The potential was a 5. It had so much potential and it just didn't follow through. The plot twist at the end was really obvious. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a Zodiac Academy like parallel, like a bit of a romance between a student and teacher, which I know is a little bit, you know, should it happen, but in Zodiac Academy it's just done so well. In this book it was just awful. There was no build-up, it just went straight into attraction, which I don't like anyway. Like, I need a little bit of tension, we need to build that up. And then the plot twist at the end was so obvious. Essentially there's almost vampires in this book, so like there's the witches and then these creatures called vessels who are basically like demons from hell summoned into bodies by witches to help protect the Coven, which sounds cool. It sounds cool, but it just fell flat. The plot was all over the place. It was all really guessable. I just feel like there was nothing drawing me into the book, so yeah, not going to dwell on this. It was quite the letdown, if I'm honest. And after reading that fantasy gothic-y fail of a book, I thought it's time to get back onto the cowboy romance, because if you know me, which I think I've said like 3 times now, I am a cowboy romance whore, especially during the summer. So last summer was when I really got into my cowboy romance era. Tell me you like it so much without telling me you like it so much. I may or may not have started writing my own cowboy romance. Check out my TikToks for a few spicy teasers. Family, do not check them out. Yeah, so the next book I decided to read was Wild Eyes, which is book 2 in the Rosehill Ranch series. I read Wild Love last year, so it's by Elsie Silver, and Wild Love was just so flat for me. I think I gave it a 3 and that was being generous. I just didn't like Ford, the main male character. He just did nothing for me. I felt no connection, but Wild Eyes was a step in the right direction. So I think the premise of this series as well is like the single dads of Rosehill Ranch, and I'm a massive Cade Eaton girl. Yeah, I'm into my single dads. Ford just didn't do it for me. Cade is my favourite single dad. Or is he? Has he been pushed off his pedestal? But yeah, so this is the second book. It follows West and Skylar. I gave it 3.5. West is just a really nice guy. Again, another nice guy. He can't do wrong. West basically is Rosie's sister from Wild Love, and then Skylar is a kind of washed up country star, and then she goes to record with Ford and ends up living in the kind of bunker house that West owns in the like property over. Forced proximity, slow burn romance, starts off as a bit casual but you kind of know where it goes. I loved West in this book. I loved like kind of like the progression in the book. It wasn't too spicy either. I think it had a nice level of spice, but I will just say Skylar is insufferable. She is so annoying. She's probably one of the most annoying FMCs that I've ever had the displeasure of reading. I'm sorry, I said it. And also, I thought this was so wild, no pun intended. As I've just said, I'm like writing a cowboy romance. I put a few ideas down when I first started drafting my cowboy romance like a year ago. I shit you not, in this book, there was just this one thing in this book that I'd wrote that I wanted to do in mine, and it happened in here. And maybe me and Elsie are on the same wavelength, but now I'm going to have to edit it out of my book. But it was the most obscure thing to do with Skittles. If you've read it, you'll know what I'm referring to. The sweets, by the way. I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. So yeah, it was really good. Skylar is insufferable. That's why it's 3.5. I found her chapters a bit hard to get through. Also, the start of the book is she almost gets attacked by a bear and West saves her. I just thought that was a bit stupid, if I'm honest, like of all the ways they could meet. But yeah, 3.5 for this book. Definitely enjoyed it more than Wild Love, but it wasn't everything I wanted out of a cowboy romance. And the next book I chose, so I did do a short and a TikTok about it, but I am a firm believer in the universe and that everything happens for a reason and that you have to listen to the little whispers that you hear if you're open to it, because yeah, we're just all interconnected anyway. So when I chose my next book, it was between the book that I chose and then another book. So the book that I did choose was Wild Side. So this is the third in the Rose Hill Ranch series, but I almost chose a different book. Something pulled me towards reading this book, and then when I opened the dedication, I kind of like realised what the draw to this book was. So without getting too personal, because I don't want to get upset either, we had to have our family dog put to sleep the other week, which was really sad, and it's been a really hard couple of weeks. Anyone with a pet, you'll know that they're part of the family, and the whole decision around why he was put to sleep was pretty hard in and of itself. So yeah, the kind of middle of June to end of June hasn't been great for me anyway. I won't bore you with my personal stories, but the point I'm making is that this book was dedicated to two of her dogs that passed away, that she had basically throughout the entirety of her like writing career. Like every book she's ever written, they were always there for her. So when I saw that as the dedication, I almost started crying because it was, yeah, a little bit too close to home. So anyway, that was the universe telling me that, like, you know, that's why I picked this book basically. And then throughout this book there is kind of like the theme of grief, and she handles it quite nicely. Like, I know romance books are meant to be quite upbeat and quite nice, but like just that little element of grief to it, it just felt really like poignant to me at the time of reading. And like there are a lot of lines that like resonated, but it's handled in a way where it doesn't take over the story, so it's still a pretty happy read. Like if you're feeling emotionally unstable or a bit wobbly at the moment, like I would still recommend this read. It's quite a nice distraction. But I don't know, I just, that there was resonances between this book and what was happening in my personal life that I really needed, I think, in that moment. I would have been inclined to give this book 5 stars from that alone, from me being in tune with the universe, but I gave it 5 stars as well because it is 100% the best in the Rose Hill Ranch series. I'll die on this hill, fight me, I don't even care. It's absolutely amazing. It's everything you want out of a cowboy romance. So we've got Tabitha and Rhys, they're kind of the main characters in this story. There's a he falls first, he falls harder trope. Who doesn't love that? We love a man with yearning, and Rhys fits that to a T. He is tall, dark and handsome. He's got tattoos. You can see that I'm really into the tattooed man at the moment. It's clearly what I'm into. Let's just manifest me a tattooed man in real life, please. That's obviously good looking and a cowboy. Like, that's the caveat. Like, not just a tattooed man, he has to be a cowboy as well. But Rhys is kind of not a cowboy, but you'll find out if you read it. So it's a bit of enemy to lovers, forced proximity. I did a full review on this book as a short, and I think I did quite a good job of summarising it. It's grumpy meets grumpy, which I actually prefer because sometimes sunshine characters annoy me a little bit. Rhys is broody and kind of silent, but like he's an actions kind of guy, and we like when people take action. You know, you show you show people how you love them through your actions, not necessarily through your words, which really loved. Slow burn romance, forced proximity, fake marriage. You can see it's got all the tropes for a great book, and it delivered. It wasn't cringe. It was quite spicy in parts. I will say I think this is the spiciest out of the three, so if you want a little bit more spice in your cowboy romance, then Wild Side is for you. I also think Rhys has almost knocked Cade off his pedestal. Like, that's how good this one is. I would put this on the same level with Heartless. Like, I feel like a lot of the BookTok people like Heartless the most out of the Chestnut Springs series, and there's defos resonances between the two. It's like you can tell it's the same author, but yeah, so 5 stars for Wild Side. This one almost won top spot, but I gave Enchantra top spot for the month because a 5-star for a fantasy book is a different 5-star for a romance book. So I think it's easier to give a 5-star to a romance book than it is for a fantasy. I feel like every reader will understand the differences between a 5-star for fantasy and a 5-star for romance. So that's why Enchantra won. This definitely got second top read of the month. So yeah, Wild Side, 5 stars. The next book I read was called Wolf by Paisley Hope. And I'm not going to spend too long on this book because I DNF'd it at 38%. So I do quite like the front cover. It's really cringe, but I'm kind of here for it. The idea of this book is that it's a biker romance. Now, I am a massive Sons of Anarchy fan, so in my head I was like, I'm just going to be reading about Jax Teller, but in book form. I love the whole motorcycle club vibe. There were like trigger warnings at the start, or like kind of like flags to let you know what it's about, so I did think it was going to be quite a spicy read, so I thought I'd prepared myself for the level of spice that I was about to witness. But Brinley is the main girl in it. She's as wet as Skylar is in Wild Eyes. If this is what dark romance is, I'm not interested in the genre. So skip through this now if you're not interested in hearing why this book was, it just took the biscuit really. Essentially they started having sexy time. He gets his knife out of his you know, holster, and then starts fucking her with the knife handle. At that point I decided to just put the book down. I didn't even try to read past it. Why would anyone want to read that in a book? I'm not book shaming, everyone has their own interests and that's absolutely fine. Like, everyone has their own things that they enjoy, but clearly if that is what dark romance is, I will never pick up a dark romance book again. It's not like that was just the only thing, like no tension between the main characters. It was like immediately they just started like having sex or like doing things like that, which is fine, but the book makes out as though there's more to it. So yeah, did not enjoy it all. And then I was speaking to my book friend Chris about these kind of books, and I don't think I'll be reading Haunting Adonai because he informed me about what happens in there, and I'm just like, do people really enjoy reading that? If you do, I'm not judging you, but it's definitely not for me, and I won't be going anywhere near this genre ever again. I just feel like, I always say I'm a slow burn romance kind of girl anyway. I enjoy a little bit of a spice, but I have to be, you know, in the mood to want to read it. I think cowboy romance level of spice, Alty Silver is the spiciest I'll ever get, because yeah, I need a bit more to a book than just someone getting fucked with a knife handle. So not for me. DNF'd at 38%. Won't be going back. Now I question whether or not I want to read her cowboy romances. Are they that graphic? It's not. That's not even graphic though. That is just not to my taste. It's not my kink. If it's yours, that's fair enough. But yeah, so I don't think I'll be starting reading dark romance anytime soon. So yeah, Wolf, DNF'd, won't be picking it back up. And the book I ended June on / have started to read into July is Nightshade by Autumn Wood. So this is the Works special edition, and this book is a dark academia. So I know that this cover is not giving dark academia, but there was just something about it that really drew me to the book. So it's just so beautiful. I don't know, I don't normally like books with characters on the front. I think they can look a little bit cringe, but there was just something about this. I look at it and it's like juicy, and I was really excited. Also, I don't know if you can see on the cover, but Alex has tattoos. I'm in my tattoo man era. So yeah, it's a dark academia. Ophelia goes to this university to get revenge on the death of her parents. Alex is the son of the man who's responsible for their deaths. That's not a spoiler, it's on the blurb. I just really like it. Again, we've got that gothic-y vibe, that kind of, like I say, dark academia. Possibly better suited to be read in the autumn, but I'm really enjoying it. I think I've read about half, maybe I read about 2/3, and it's just really good. Like, it's enemy to lovers, it's slow burn, but it's also like, it's another he falls first, he falls harder trope. It's really nicely written, it's not cringe at all. Like, the banter at the start of the book, like the banter between the characters isn't cringy. I'm currently on Nightshade. I'm going to give a full review of this book when I finish reading it, but really, 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 really enjoying it so far. So this was just what I needed after that DNF'd book. I should have just, I like contemplated reading this before I read that other book. I should have just gone straight onto this, but yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's like I would say it's murder mystery meets dark academia. So yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So there you have it, all the books that I read in June. I think I've had a pretty good mix of books this month. Some really good ones, some okay ones, some books that I'll never touch again. Don't hate me in the comments. Fair enough if you like dark romance, but it's not for me, and I'm not even going to apologise. Reading is subjective, and if you like it, cool, but I'm not here for it. So yeah, that is my reading wrap up. How many books did you read in June? What was your favourite? What was your least favourite? And maybe let me know in the comments what book you're most excited for in July. Thank you for listening to my YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to take some book recs from it, and I'll see you in the next one.